Hey there, it's Gina Page from AfricanAncestry.com. I'm a little bit late today because I'm on the road. I'm actually up in Cambridge, Massachusetts at Harvard Business School. And so I got a little thrown off by the time, but I'm here for our weekly Wednesday Facebook Live. And we had a couple questions come up over the past week that I wanted to talk about. The first one is, how do I decide which DNA testing company to use? And I just want to help people understand that each company serves a different purpose. So there's a company that will help you if you are interested in using your DNA to tell you about health traits and genetic traits. Then there's a company for that. That's 23andMe. And 23andMe will also give you an admixture analysis of your ancestry. So it'll tell you what percentage of different ancestries you have, how much European ancestry, if any, how much African ancestry, if any, and so on. Whatever is in there, that company will help you with those percentages. In addition, they'll tell you what kinds of health traits you have, what kinds of genetic traits you have. And so that's the company that you want to use if that's the kind of information you're looking for. You should also check that company's terms and conditions to understand what they do with your genetic material. Are they using it for further research? Do they continue to research it, and do they give you the information? Do they give the information to other entities? Do they sell the information? That's the fine print that I would encourage you to look at and understand with any ancestry tracing company that you're looking at. The next elephant in the room, if you will, is the company that is our colleague, AncestryDNA.com. And their company is one you would use if you want to find people that you're related to. So they'll do the same thing. They'll give you an admixture analysis of the different types of ancestries that you have in your DNA. Now let me be very clear, and we talked about this last week. They give you a percentage breakdown of African ancestry, but it's regional. Okay, and if you look at our Facebook Live from last week, you can see the regions. They've broken the continent, the second largest continent in the world, down into 9 regions, and they have 494 samples to give you your regional breakdown. So if you want to know, if you want to confirm that you have West African ancestry, that's basically what they'll tell you. But then they compare you to other people who are in their database. And so if there are other people in their database who have similar genetic makeup to yours, then you can be connected to those people and meet your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th cousins, whatever that is. So if you're looking for that, then perhaps that's the test for you. The other thing that you should understand is, I'm pretty sure that you get a subscription to use their database to search for records. I know this because we get a lot of people who call and say they want to cancel their subscription. We don't offer a subscription, so they're obviously calling us by mistake. They meant to call Ancestry.com. So yeah, again, if you want to know other people that you're related to and those people happen to be in their database, then you can find those, 7th, 8th, 9th generation cousins. And then if you want to know where specifically in Africa you come from, and you're trying to answer the question of what does my African look like? What is the African in my African American? What are the countries, the cultures, the people, the traditions, the values that I have as a part of the legacy that I'm a part of? Then you would choose our company, AfricanAncestry.com. And African Ancestry doesn't give you an admixture percentage. We're looking at one branch of your family tree and then being very specific, comparing it to a database of 33,000, not 494, not 621, 33,000 lineages from 40 countries, not regions, countries. and ethnic groups. So we're not just going to tell you that you're West African. We're going to tell you that you share ancestry with the Balanta people living in Guinea-Bissau today. And we know that the Balanta are often considered those who resist. Or you share ancestry with the Mende people living in Sierra Leone today. And we know that the Mende were on the Amistad. And we know that the Mende have secret societies that help girls and boys grow into strong men and women in the community. And so that's the level of detail that we give if you're interested in knowing more about the African in your American, or the African in your British, or the African in your Jamaican, or the African in your Haitian, or the African in your Cuban, or the African in your Trinidadian. If you have African lineage, then we're going to give you a starting point for expanding your personal narrative, how you view yourself, what you're about. Tangier and Kadira want to take the test. Oh, I hope you do. We would love to have you be a part of the family, the African Ancestry family. You can go to our website, AfricanAncestry.com. You can call our office, and our team, who you've met on previous Facebook Lives, we got to get them back on. Maybe next week, Kelly or Ty or Simone can help you understand the best test for you. So those are the different companies, the major colleagues that we have in this industry. And again, I just want to be clear, one company is not going to answer all the questions you have about who you are, about your DNA, about your identity. We each serve a different purpose, and AfricanAncestry.com is very proud to serve the unique purpose of helping you to better understand the legacy that you're a part of because of the people that you share DNA with. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that came up is a YouTube video that was posted over the past week by a Nigerian brother who shares ancestry with the Igbo people. And when he took our test, the results we gave him weren't Igbo. In fact, they were Cameroonian. And this happens. Doesn't mean we're a fraud. It doesn't mean we don't know what we're doing. What it means is that African people move. What it means is that Nigeria and Cameroon are neighboring countries that at some point in the past 500 to 2,000 years were all part of the same region. And so if we didn't find an identical match for his DNA among Nigerian populations, we found the most closely related matches among Cameroonian populations. So that's like saying I'm from DC, right? I am from DC. Shout out to the home of the godfather of go-go. I'm from DC, but you found matches for my ancestry in Maryland. Well, Maryland is just across the border, and there very well could be people living in Maryland who have my same genetics, who share my genetic ancestry. They just happen to live next door, in the state next door. The other thing is that African populations move, and so ethnic groups, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, Iwando, Tikar, Bamileke, those are social and cultural groupings. They're not genetic groupings. And so it's very oftentimes we find that people in different social and cultural groups share the same genetics. That's like me being an AKA and living in Washington, D.C., and my paternal aunt being a Delta, let's say, and living in Philadelphia. We belong to different groups, we live in different places, but we share a common genetic ancestry. And so in this brother's case, our database of 33,000 indigenous African lineages didn't find any closely related matches with Igbo people. In fact, we found them with people living in Cameroon. I can't remember the group right now, But what we give you is the most closely related lineage match that we can find. And we tell you how closely they're related. So in 85% of the cases of people who take our test, we find identical matches. That means we found people living in that country, belonging to that group, that have identical mitochondrial DNA signatures or Y chromosome signatures to you, depending on which test you took. If we don't find an identical match, then our science team looks for closely related lineages. So they'll look for lineages that are 99.9% the same, and then 99.8, and then 99.7, and so on. And I believe that brother who tried to put us on blast on YouTube, we found a 99.2% match. So we told him the closest match we found for your ancestry in our database was a 99.2% match among these people living in Cameroon. I know, my imaginary aunt, she really isn't a Delta. All my aunts are AKAs Gregory, but for the purposes of illustration. And I work with Deltas every day. Shout out to our Facebook Live Uber producer, Ty Brooks. She's our resident Delta. So, you know, it's quite possible that at some point there was a group of people living in the Nigeria-Cameroon region that were related, and over time those people moved to different parts of the area. Some ended up in what's now present-day Nigeria, some ended up in what's now present-day Cameroon, and they belong to different groups. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So if you guys have any questions, you can always send them to us at fblive@africanancestry.com, or you can give us a call at 202-723-0900, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. We can explain anything, and we're happy to do that in a private forum, or if you feel like you need to try and bust us out or prove us wrong, or make us seem like we're trying to get over, we can do it on a public forum too. We are authentic. We are here to serve Black people. It is important to us that as a community we understand who we are, and that means we need to understand where we're from. And so that's why we're here. And Anthony, I'm sorry, I don't really understand your questions, which is why I can't answer them. Maybe when this is over and I'll be able to read them, they're not scrolling, we'll post answers if they are questions that we're able to answer. Chef Eric says it costs too much. Chef Eric, I understand if that's your perspective. People place different value on different things. Some people think that $2.99 is too much to know where you're from, like you, but they don't think $2.99 is too much for concert tickets or a certain purse or an iPhone or whatever it is. So I understand everything's not for everybody, and that's that. Gregory, to check your ancestry, you can go to africanancestry.com, click on the Buy Now tab, and it'll give you a lot of information about our tests and how they work. Elder T.D. Lawrence Sr., thank you for loving what we're doing. Eric, the other thing, Chef Eric, if you are interested and you have other family members that are interested, you guys can go in together, because one test traces a lineage. And so the results you get are going to be the same for your brothers and sisters, your children, your aunts and uncles, your cousins. So a lot of families pitch in, choose one person to take the test, and then they all share the results. So if you think this test is worth $50, then you can get 5 other family members to pitch in $50. If you think it's worth $100, get a couple other family members to give you $100. There are ways to do it to make it work. Candace, I see you've taken Ancestry already. I suspect they told you that you had some percentage African ancestry, and the regions all amounted to West Africa. So if you want to know the country and people that you actually descend from, that you share a common legacy with, that you actually share your DNA with on your maternal line, we can help you with that. Tavier getting the paternal test soon, then this European last name goes out of the window. I hear you. You know, a lot of people take our test and then change their name, and increasingly people who are expecting are taking our test so that they can name their children at birth. And so that's exciting, and we certainly support your decision and look forward to finding out what your new name will be. Now, don't remember, of course I want you to remember, don't forget when you take the paternal test, there's a 65% chance that it'll be African and a 35% chance that it won't. So you might have to keep that last name if it's Spanish or British or Portuguese, I don't know. Chef Eric, I totally understand. This is new information, and you know, it's new. And so it's hard to contextualize sometimes, and that's why we're here, and that's why we do these Facebook Lives, and why we travel the country helping to increase the genetic literacy of Black folks, because that's important to us. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on Facebook or on Twitter or by phone or on email. We'd be happy to answer them for you and your family. Dor, thank you so much for recommending us. You guys are our army. We don't have a private equity firm behind us. And so you're not going to see us advertising on TV. You're not. But what we have is you. And so I appreciate everyone who recommends us, who spreads the word, who helps raise awareness that we're here, because we are the first, we're the pioneers, and we're here for you. We're about Black folks. It's just that simple. And so thank you for being part of our tribe, our army. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read, and Lindsay says she wants to take the test. And I don't know, Lindsay, if you heard me talking to Chef Eric, but it's something that your family members can pitch in to help cover the cost of a test, and then everyone will share the results. Good thing you could share at the family reunion too. If you have one coming up this summer, you can pass the hat and then email everyone the results. Well, I've got to go so I can get to the airport and get on my flight back to DC, but I just wanted to make sure that I answered those questions, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you. Oh, one more question. Okay, Lynette wants to know what my ancestry is. So on my maternal line, I share ancestry with the Fulani people living in Nigeria today, and on my paternal line, I share ancestry with the Hausa people living in Nigeria today. And I learned that the Hausa are the business people of the culture. So I come by this entrepreneurship thing quite honestly. Francine, I did talk about the difference between us and our colleagues in the industry. So just rewind when we're done and you can hear that. And Elder, we would come to a family reunion. You can reach out to our Director of External Affairs, Nicole Taylor. She's at ntaylor@africanancestry.com, and get some more details about that. Okay, y'all really gotta let me go so I can catch this plane. I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.